Hey, you don't want us to hurt you, right? If not, leave the money here. No way. I worked hard for this money, there's no way I'm giving it to you. I was suddenly picked on when I was walking with my child through a dark alley near the station. And now they were trying to mug me. But I'm not the kind of woman who yields to such things. We're the mafia, you know. Really? You guys look pretty weak to me. I taunted them, and just as expected, they tried to punch me. However, someone stopped them. And then, they spoke to me. Ma'am. Good evening. My name is Emily. I work as an office clerk at a small company, living a pretty normal life. But there are two things that make my life far from ordinary. I'm 26 years old, and I have a 5-year-old daughter named Jennifer. I'm a single mother raising Jennifer on my own. I married my ex-husband when I was 20, but we divorced for various reasons. One of those reasons was that we were growing apart. Even so, I still see my ex-husband regularly for our daughter's sake and because of child support. I don't have a bad relationship with him at all. In fact, I still love him very much. One of my daily routines is picking up Jennifer from kindergarten after work. Jennifer, I'm here. Thanks for waiting. Mom, you're so late. Jennifer, now 5, is growing and becoming more articulate every day. Every day with her is like a treasure to me. One day, like usual, I went to pick her up from kindergarten after work. Recently, as winter approaches, it gets dark by 5 p.m. Jennifer, let's go home. Okay. Hearing her cheerful response, I greeted her teacher, Ms. Taylor, and we left the kindergarten hand in hand. It was already dark outside. The area around the kindergarten is well lit, but it gets pitch dark once you enter a side street. Mom, it's cold. It is cold, isn't it? Let's hurry home. With each passing day, the temperature drops, and we just want to get home and warm up as quickly as possible. Our house is beyond the street near the station, and if we take the well-lit road, we first have to head to the main street before reaching the station. This means taking a detour to get home, so we sometimes take the alley. This way, we can get to the station without having to go all the way to the main street, making it a much shorter route. However, we don't take this shortcut every day, just occasionally. The walk home from kindergarten is a precious time for me to talk with Jennifer. So, what did you do today? Today, listening to her stories about kindergarten is one of my favorite parts of the day. But today is really cold. The weather forecast said it's the first cold snap of the month. I was thinking casually about how it's getting colder, but it's so cold that Jennifer's story isn't progressing much. Then I had an idea. Jenny, how about we take the shortcut today? When I said that, Jennifer's eyes sparkled. A shortcut. Jennifer loves taking this shortcut occasionally. It might be because I make it feel special. We haven't taken this route in a while, I said with a smile. This alley isn't well lit, so it's not really safe for a woman like me to pass through. But it's a short distance, and we should reach the station quickly as usual. I think Jennifer felt the same way. I realized our assumption was wrong a little way into the alley. Well, looks like your luck has run out, lady. 3 tough-looking men in suits appeared in front of us. You're quite the looker, aren't you? We'll have some fun with you. But the kid is in the way. Hey, you don't want us to hurt you, right? If not, leave the money here, and we'll let you go. Hearing their vulgar laughter, I narrowed my eyes. If it were just me, it would be fine. But I had my 5-year-old daughter Jennifer with me. For her, having strange men approach us must be terrifying. Mommy. Terrified, Jennifer clung tightly to my leg. Jennifer, it's okay. I picked her up. I don't have any money to give you. I work hard for my money, it's not for the likes of you. What? Angered by my words, the 3 men moved closer. We're the Simon City Royals. You know what happens if you mess with us? The Simon City Royals? I repeated, recognizing the gang's name. That's right. Before you get hurt, leave the money and go. These guys are really from the Simon City Royals? Unbelievable. I sighed. Aren't you ashamed to threaten a woman with a child? If you want money, work your way up in your organization and earn the boss's respect. Don't think you can just scare people into giving you money. Life isn't that easy. As I shouted, their faces turned even redder. You think you can mock us? Hand over the bag. One of them grabbed the strap of my tote bag and tried to pull it away. Stop it. I slapped his hand away and held onto my bag. Mommy. I'm scared. Jennifer started crying in earnest. Jennifer, it's okay. I will protect you. I patted her head, and she clung to me even tighter. How dare you make my daughter cry? It's your fault for not giving us the money. The man whose hand I slapped shouted even louder, trying to intimidate me. You guys should be embarrassed that the Simon City Royals can't take money from a woman. But you do look pretty weak. So I guess it's understandable. I taunted them more. You bitch. Enraged, all three of them lunged at me. At least come at me one at a time, geez. Fully intending to dodge, I hugged Jennifer tighter and was about to crouch down when... Hey! A loud voice echoed through the alley. I looked up to see another big man in a suit. He was taller than the other three. Was he another one of their gang? 4 men would be tough to handle. Fighting 4 men while holding a terrified Jennifer seemed impossible. The 3 men stopped and turned toward the voice. What the hell are you doing? Oh, Capo. Capo? So he's part of the Simon City Royals too. The men in front of me looked terrified, their movements frozen. I thought about escaping while they were distracted, but the shouting man started walking toward us. As he approached, I saw a gold necklace reflecting the light, and tattoos on his arms where his sleeves were rolled up. He also had a scar on his forehead, clearly indicating a higher rank than the 3 men in front of me. Wait, this man. What are 3 men doing harassing a woman in an alley? Huh? Ah. The 3 men visibly trembled. It's not what it looks like, Capo. This woman, she... Don't make excuses. He shouted again, then turned his gaze to us. I'm sorry if my men caused you any trouble. Wait, are you Ryan? Huh? When I spoke, Ryan's eyes widened. Ma'am. It is you, Ryan. I couldn't see well in the dark. Good evening, ma'am. And then he greeted me. I never expected to run into Ryan here. Capo, why are you greeting this woman? Yeah, she's just a woman with a kid. You idiots. This woman is the boss's wife. What? The 3 men who had been crowding around Ryan froze again. Actually, ex-wife. I'm the boss's ex-wife, I corrected. Yes, I used to be married to the boss of the Simon City Royals. I held Jennifer even tighter. Ryan, these men made Jennifer cry. What kind of training are you giving them? Ryan glared sharply at the 3 men. You scared the boss's daughter. What the hell do you think you're doing? The boss's daughter. Of course, Jennifer is the only child of the Simon City Royals boss. This must be some mistake. There's no mistake. Madam and her daughter are the boss's family. Ma'am, I'm deeply sorry. These men are new recruits. You 3, apologize properly. Ryan shouted again, ordering them, and the 3 men quickly came to me and bowed deeply. We're very sorry. We didn't know you were the madam. What, so it's okay, if it was someone else? No, no. They averted their eyes at my retort. Do you think just because you're new recruits you can mug people in alleys? Mugging. Ryan's voice boomed. They demanded money. From a woman with a small child. They likely targeted me because women are often seen as an easier target. And their approach seemed well practiced. They must have done this several times around here. I'm sorry, but I'll be reporting this to Andrew. I'm meeting him soon. Ah. Ryan, you don't need to report this. You 3 will report to the boss yourselves. Tell him you tried to mug his ex-wife in an alley. No way. That's the consequence of your actions. Do you understand? I took photos of each of them and said, you know what happens if you try to run, right? Ryan, is that okay? I asked. Whatever you decide, ma'am. Given the go-ahead, I decided to handle it my way. I don't care about myself, but I can't forgive them for making Jennifer cry. By the way, Ryan, what are you doing here? I was out collecting money and heading back when I saw our organization's car at the alley entrance. Wondering why it was there. I looked down the alley and saw these guys harassing a woman, so I intervened. Thanks for stepping in. It was hard to handle while holding Jennifer. Jennifer, it's Ryan. Ryan? Ryan sometimes accompanied Andrew during his visits, so he knew us well. As I gently patted Jennifer's back and mentioned Ryan's name, she lifted her face from my shoulder. Jennifer, it's Ryan. Are you okay? Ryan. Recognizing a familiar face, Jennifer reached out to Ryan and started crying even harder. Ryan, can you take care of Jennifer for a bit? Of course, but what about you, ma'am? I'll just give these guys a punch each. And so, I punched each of them with all my strength. Today is the day for Andrew's monthly visit with Jennifer. Even after the divorce, we ensure they meet once a month. It was an amicable divorce, and Jennifer has the right to see her father. Plus, I still have feelings for him. Daddy! Jennifer ran into Andrew's arms. Jenny. Andrew showered her with affection. Watching their heartwarming interaction, I couldn't help but smile broadly. Since becoming the boss of the Simon City Royals, Andrew has often worn a stern expression. He's trying to look the part, making a deliberate effort to appear tough. But in front of me, Jennifer, and those he trusts, he relaxes and shows his true self, which I love. Andrew, though the boss, is a gentle man who hates conflict. Yet, he became a strong leader, inheriting the role of boss. Andrew and I grew up together as childhood friends, our families living near each other and frequently interacting with the Simon City Royals. We attended the same extracurricular activities and often spent time together. As a child, Andrew was really timid, with a small voice and a tendency to cry easily. I always felt the need to protect him. Using techniques we learned in karate and taekwondo classes, I defended Andrew from any trouble. I think I felt a strong responsibility to protect him. But every time, Andrew says, "Thank you so much, Emily." I was probably drawn to him because of his gratitude. The role of boss in the Simon City Royals was hereditary, so it was decided from birth that Andrew would eventually become the boss. He also had to marry and have children to continue the lineage. When we discussed our future after high school, Andrew told me his path was already set, and he also needed to get married someday. I knew his family was part of the mafia, but I didn't know that Andrew's future was already decided. Is your marriage partner already decided? No, I don't think so. They said I would start preparing to join the organization seriously after graduating from high school. I guess they'll decide after that. He sighed, saying it might turn into a matchmaking party. A party? Is that even allowed? Well, unless they find a partner for me, that's probably what will happen. I mean, marrying someone I barely know isn't really appealing to me. His expression grew darker, and his sighs heavier. Then Andrew, why don't you marry me? What? Andrew made a strange sound, looking dumbfounded at my words. Andrew, do you dislike me? Of course not. I actually like you a lot. Then it's settled. When we graduate, let's get married. That way, you won't need to find a new partner. I don't mind, but... Are you sure about this, Emily? Andrew asked shyly. Of course, I'm proposing to you, aren't I? And so, our proposal was a reverse proposal from me. My parents were against the idea of getting married right after high school, or so I thought, but surprisingly, they allowed it easily. I figured if you were getting married, it would be to Andrew. Honestly, I can't see you with anyone else. Was there reason? My parents really understood me well. Apparently, Andrew's parents felt the same way, so our marriage was easily approved, and we got married right after graduation. Shortly after, I found out I was pregnant, and before we knew it, we had a baby. Honestly, I was really happy at that time. But the reason we separated was because, shortly after our daughter was born, Andrew came to me and said, "Let's get a divorce." Around that time, Andrew's father, the boss of the Simon City Royals, had fallen ill and was planning to pass the leadership to Andrew. However, some members of the organization had been opposing the idea of Andrew, who was known for his gentle nature, becoming the next boss. This opposition had become a significant issue within the organization, leading to a tense situation. Andrew was afraid of dragging Jennifer and me into this conflict. I won't give up. Emily, you might not give up, but Jennifer could get hurt. I don't want to involve my precious family in this any further. I asked him if we could leave the organization and start a new life together. That's absolutely impossible. As the boss's son, I can't betray the members who have supported me and recommended me for this role. Andrew was firm in his resolve, and I couldn't argue any further. He promised to recognize Jennifer and provide child support, asking me to live a peaceful life with her. I couldn't refuse him. If something happened to Jennifer, I wasn't sure I could stay calm either. And Emily, you're a girl, so you should learn to avoid fighting and escape when necessary. I can't promise that. As long as we weren't together, I had to protect Jennifer myself. Literally, I was the only one who could protect her. With this determination, I left the Simon City Royals with Jennifer. Andrew convinced me that staying married could bring unforeseen dangers, so we officially divorced and now live separately. By the way, our parents told us, put Jennifer first and do what you think is best, so we've really been able to do as we please. I looked at my ex-husband sitting in front of me. So, Emily, what did you want to talk about? Andrew asked, smiling with Jennifer on his lap, happy to see her after a month. Sensing it was a serious matter, he called over a member to take care of Jennifer. Having known each other since childhood, he could read my expression perfectly. Once alone with my ex-husband, I started the conversation. Andrew, I really think the recent training of your organization members has been lacking. Why do you say that? Didn't you hear from your members? Jennifer and I were mugged by some of them. What? Andrew stood up in shock, causing the teacup to rattle. If he didn't know, it means they didn't report it, even though I told them to. Thinking they might have already fled, I decided to give Andrew their photos later. Are you and Jenny okay? Of course, we are. Luckily, Ryan happened to be there. Ryan didn't mention anything. I told him not to. Andrew, I didn't want to interfere with your organization, but recently, the Simon City Royals haven't had a good reputation. People say your members are misbehaving. This rumor was true. Even among my fellow moms at Jennifer's preschool, there's talk that the Simon City Royals aren't exactly nice people. I've seen members acting arrogantly because they are in the mafia, and we were mugged the other day. Ever since you became the boss, people have been saying this. It's really time to get things in order, Andrew. Ugh. After the succession issue, Andrew became the boss, but some members left or refused to follow him, dissatisfied. While Andrew's leadership was later praised, he might still be underestimated within the organization. I understand. If they endangered you and Jenny, I won't let them off the hook. Huh? I need to make a call. With that, Andrew walked away and started making a phone call. Andrew returned about 10 minutes later. Who did you call? Just someone. He didn't elaborate, and we ended the meeting there. A few days later, Andrew summoned me to the Simon City Royals main house. I left Jennifer with my mother. Good day, ma'am. Alex, the Simon City Royals' third-in-command, greeted me. He escorted me to a room where Andrew, Ryan, and the 3 men who had mugged me were waiting. They sat huddled in a corner, trembling. Clearly, they were terrified. Everyone, thank you for coming. What's this about? Yes, it's about the mugging incident. These are the culprits, right? Yes, no doubt about it. I showed the photos I had taken of the 3. Boss, it's confirmed. Alex said to Andrew. Andrew muttered in response. I see. Andrew was fully in boss mode today. Ryan investigated, and it turns out there has been a spree of muggings targeting women with young children. These guys were behind all of them. What? I couldn't help but shout. They specifically targeted women because they knew many would hand over money without resisting if children were around. Alex added, and they would less likely fight back if they were confronted by men, which only fueled my anger further. Unbelievable. That's why they targeted me? They've been preying on women? This is outrageous. I glared fiercely at the men in the corner. Ma'am, please calm down. Ryan held me back, but I couldn't stand it any longer. Calm down. Let me hit him one more time. Emily, calm down first. Andrew's voice drew everyone's attention. Of course, this was all done without my knowledge. I had no part in it. Obviously. There's no way you would have ordered something like this. When I shouted that, Andrew gave me a slight smile. He quickly returned to his boss demeanor. We'll return all the money they extorted and pay compensation to the victims. I promise they will earn that money through hard labor. But first, I'll personally make them pay. Alex cracked his knuckles. You've tarnished the Simon City Royals' name and disgraced me. You won't get away with this. Andrew's low voice resonated throughout the room. The culprits were taken to the punishment room, where Alex, known as the strongest enforcer in the Simon City Royals, gave them a harsh lesson. Screams from the punishment room echoed for over 2 days. I wish I could have hit them one more time. That was scary. After Ryan and Alex left, Andrew collapsed on the spot. Great job, you really did well. Did I look like a proper boss? Absolutely. Andrew looked incredibly impressive as the boss. It was refreshing to see him in this role, and I realized how hard he worked every day. Andrew publicly announced that the recent muggings targeting women and children were carried out by Simon City Royals members and declared that such actions would never happen again. He began an internal investigation, punishing those with poor behavior and working to rebuild the Simon City Royals' reputation. The organization started participating in community cleanups and other activities to regain trust. Over time, the Simon City Royals gradually earned back the community's trust and were now known as the Kind Mafia. They particularly focused on supporting women and single mothers. This initiative partly stemmed from guilt over the muggings and partly from a desire to improve the lives of single mothers like me. Some of the people they mugged were single mothers like you, Emily. They felt they had no choice but to comply and hand over the money. Once those guys realized this, they specifically targeted single mothers. Hearing that they targeted such people, including you, made me furious. That's why I decided to focus on helping women and single mothers. I hope this makes it easier for them to live in this town. Andrew said this, a bit embarrassed but with determination, and he looked incredibly reliable. I was confident that he could create a more welcoming town. I wanted to support him and watch over him in this town. As women, we are often seen as being in a weak position. When people know we are single mothers, we are perceived as even weaker. Even though we live and work just like men, I wonder why we are seen as weak and targeted. I've learned self-defense and am outspoken, so I don't often get underestimated, but it's still a harsh world. Changing this perception, even little by little, is essential. I hope that this town is the place where such changes begin.